Okay, you guys should know the song too. Am I dropping my song?
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Stage Diving with Scotty. Today my guest is an old friend of mine, Nate McMullen from my old punk band Unchained. Hey Nate, welcome to my show, man.
How you doing?
Hey man, great. It's good to see you. It's always good to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, and for some of you who don't know, it was kind of out of the blue that we kind of ran into each other again on Facebook.
Yep.
From the beginning, there was a band with Tom Clark, my brother Billy, and me, and we started something called Flow. Do you remember? Do you remember Flow?
I still have that shirt.
The really like silly drawing of it, or
yeah, we made one shirt, and I still have it. And in my senior album, when I was voted one of the weirdest people in the school, which was also funny because the girl was my girlfriend at one point. I have the Flow shirt on in that picture. It's funny.
That's really weird that you're the only one that has that, by the way. So we were starting out. We didn't know what we were doing. But it was horrible. And, and so it eventually because Nathan is it okay if I call you Nathan or Nate? Or
Nathan, you're fine. Just don't call me Nathaniel. I think I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I'll stay away from that one. Yeah. So Nate, you and Tom went to the same church, right? Is that how you guys knew each other, or how
yeah,
you guys knew each other?
Yep. Yeah, he went to my church. Yes.
What was your church again?
That was Cornerstone, our Chino Nazarene church.
That's right. Oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah, and so with that, did Tom approach you, and how did that begin, as far as joining in with us?
With Flow?
Yeah,
it's so long ago. I'd imagine that's the only way I can imagine that happened. You know, at that time in my life, that was a crazy time. I would imagine, either we were on like a summer camp and he mentioned something, or, I was like, yeah, I can play terribly, but I can play.
Did he just bring it up and just say, hey, oh, you play guitar, you want to join my band, or how'd that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what happened. I can't remember the exact details. But I think that's roundabout how it happened. It's how it usually happens, I think. You want to play my band?
Yeah, right. When we were young and just like, hey, you play an instrument, let's do this.
Yeah.
Well, from there I remember Tom introducing you, and it's like, this guy can play guitar too. Oh, and it was like this relief for me, like, okay, someone else can play too, and make this thing bigger, whatever we were doing, make this horrible thing less horrible.
Yeah.
And, and so I don't remember, when you joined the band, did we change our name to, what were we? Was it still Flow, or did we change it to Where's Gary, or do you remember what that was?
No, I always remember Flow.
So it was always Flow? Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, it kind of feels very muddled to me still a little bit. But
it's worse, blame me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so from there, Nate joined in. He practiced us a few times. It was really cool. We were this very horrible, like, alternative band that wanted to be punk or metal or something. I don't know. It's just like,
I don't think we're sure.
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't think anybody knew what we were doing. But eventually, we played. Okay, so I have video. I can't find it just yet, but I have our very first gig at the church when you were with the band. And I think we've talked about this, but
you should burn it. Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
It's so bad. It's as worse as you. It's worse than you think.
I remember that very clearly because of how bad it was.
Yeah.
Yes. What's funny though is I didn't realize it was that bad yet. I thought I was doing okay until I got better and realized, holy crap, we're terrible.
Yeah, no, but I think that's just young disease, or whatever you want to call it, like young musician disease. Because it was that same thing. Like, I remember talking to who was it before we played? I think I was dating Brianna Walters. And
oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And I remember calling her on the phone and saying, I'm so nervous. And she goes, "You'll be fine, you'll be fine." And then we played, right? And I'm nervous, I'm shaking, and we have this song that sounds just like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in a way, and
Yeah, I
and
remember that. Yeah, how funny.
and then I don't remember. I think it was called "What's Wrong" or something. But and then you came in and doing a lead, and I was like, "Oh man, this is so amazing! This is great!" and stuff. And then we played some other songs, and then watching the
My
video
lead out of
clip,
key, by the way.
and then yeah, then I watched the video and went, "Oh no,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
horrible."
yeah,
and
awful.
everybody said afterward, "Oh, that was really good. Good job. That was
Yeah,
fantastic." And you're
I'm
like,
glad we played at a church. Otherwise, it'd have been much worse.
maybe they prayed over, having their ears saved while we were playing. So, anyways, that was early on memory of how that began, and then from there, I don't remember how the transition happened to where we kind of kicked Billy out, and then you knew Dave Edmonds, right?
Yeah, Dave Edmonds and I actually we played in our very first band together. Dave was very young. I think he was 15. We got suckered into this like metal band that just played like glam rock metal and covers. It was terrible. And I had, from an early on age, my youth group was amazing at Chino Nazarene. It was full of punk rockers. I mean, Mohawks, everything. And I got exposed to punk music at a very early age and just fell in love with it. I had a lot of hidden aggression issues because of my childhood, and of where I was at that point in life. And that was like this door open to me of how to get my aggression out, but not, in a completely violent way, and these people writing these songs were, had the same lives as me in some instances, and so I just instantaneously fell in love with punk music, but like there was no punk band. So I get suckered into this band with Dave. Dave came in shortly after I did. We're doing covers, and then finally Dave and I are like, screw this, we don't want to do this anymore. So we started a band that never played anywhere, with our friend Sam, who played bass, and it was called AI, and it was Agitated Individuals, and it was terrible, awful. But Dave and I had this weird thing where we knew what each other was thinking, and we played very well together. And even though we sucked well together, basically. Yeah. So, and and Dave and I ended up becoming, best friends. So that just helped. And when we lost Billy, I think it was because Billy was having a hard time showing up for practice. If I remember right, I can't remember the exact story, but and he was having trouble with some of the beats. And I was like, well, I know a guy, and it was Dave, and once Dave came in, I remember the very first practice in his room, and we wrote "Wake Up" in the first 5 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, good memory. Holy
and
crap!
Then it was
right.
like, this is it. This is the sound right here. This is what I've been wanting, And I just remember being so happy when we wrote that song,
I think if I remember correctly, now you say that, I think I remember even Dave had this little eating grin on his face, like, "Oh, this is good. This is good."
Oh yeah,
like this.
yeah, yeah. Because we were all like, we knew what we wanted. We just didn't know how to get there. And for some reason, when all of us got together that first night, it's like we all clicked, and that, oh my gosh, this is it. Very basic, but it was what we wanted. It was like very raw, very hard, and just aggressive, but it was great. Yeah, it was a great moment. Yeah.
It was. Gosh, that's so funny. You said that, and the Rolodex flipped right to that point. And just remember being crowded, and then just the energy was just undeniable.
I wish we had a recording of that song. I still like that song. I think that was a great, simple song, but just a great song. Yeah.
That chorus was so freaking powerful. That was such a freaking like punk rock, right in your face song. Because I remember just
that was
that and Preach. I remember Preach.
Oh,
remember that?
Preach.
Oh God, that was such a good song to like give the microphone to the crowd.
Yeah, you know what it was is, and I've always kind of been this way with Christian music. Basically Christian music is worship, right? Which we should all do. We should worship God and all that. I wanted to write Christian music geared towards Christians, not even sinners, towards Christians because I was so sick of how Christians were acting.
Yeah.
We were very, I called them Disneyland Christians. You know, they were Christian until it got hard. They were say they were Christian, but you know, they would do things, and I just saw the hypocrisy, and I was like, and I just got on this mission to basically
Call them out.
call them out on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the best way, like you knew how to, was through music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Punk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a way to do it with that, you know. I mean, Crucified was such a great band of that kind of thing too, where it was just in your face, and Mark Solomon and his lyrics, and it would just hit all of us, that kind of thing.
Right.
We're just like, yeah, sure. You know, like Mr. Teacher, Mr. Preacher on the TV
Mr. Preacher.
screen.
Yeah. No one else was writing that stuff. No one. And when I first heard that song, I was like, holy crap, this guy knows it, you know.
Oh man. Okay, so man, gosh, so many memories. Yeah, so I remember just so with Unchained, we had, if I remember correctly, we just kind of did a bunch of little shows here and there, and it just eventually started to grow when Dave came to the picture.
Yeah.
And then Dave had some hookups, and then when I remember, if you remember this, where who was the freaking band? We played in Dave's house. We played, and then they played. They were well known, and then like all hell broke loose.
Drain Bramaged.
Drain Bramaged. That's what it was.
That was crazy. That you know that. So that was the senior party, because every year you have a senior party, not the school's party. Like someone puts on a senior party. Dave put on a party that they talked about for years after. It got crazy. People were calling for directions from the 57. We're like, he had security. His brother was selling alcohol through there, and Drain Bramaged went through a whole keg during their set. That's
right. I hear hearing about that. Yeah.
And the best part of that whole show wasn't Dave getting a gun pulled on him in the hallway. No, that wasn't it. The best
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that's when we called the cops finally. The best part was, and we knew the guy. He ended up playing in Zach's band that used to open for us. I can't remember the names, but
the Rejects.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who's. I don't know. I think it was Dave and I out in front of his door. We're outside, and the Drain Bramaged is playing. There's a pit going on in his living room. His dad's gone. His dad worked for the NHRA, the National Hot Rods Association. So he's in Florida doing races or something. And there's, we moved all the furniture out. So there's this full-on pit going on in his front living room. And you can see the window like bouncing like this, just crazy. Then I wish I remember his name. This guy we know goes flying through the window. Like through the window, which is crazy on its own, right? We're like, oh shit. You see hands come out, grab him, and pull him back into the pit.
That's right.
I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
What is happening?
Crazy. That band said, anytime you want us to play this, let us know. We've never had someone give us a whole keg during a show. That show got out of hand. That was crazy.
That was insane. I remember, and I think I just wanted to go away after that point, because like, okay, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Look, you remember that too. Oh my goodness.
I just forgot about that until right now. We started talking about the party. I'm like, oh yeah, what's his name got thrown through the window, and then they pulled him back in.
That was such the weirdest thing. I was outside when that happened, so it was like, oh my gosh. So that whole gun thing, holy crap! What was that? What happened? Do you remember what happened? Why that got?
No, Dave just told me I didn't see it. So Dave was in the hallway. I don't know if someone was trying to go in his room, and he said, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" And the guy turned around, pulled a gun on him, and he was like, and it wasn't even Dave that called the cops. His brother finally called the cops on his own party.
Did he leave? The guy leave, or
everyone left because cops showed up? Yeah, I don't know what happened to the guy, but
oof, that was a little much. It's funny because I remember that one, and then I remember playing for like out. I don't remember. It's like I feel like it was out in this very isolated field. Someone's birthday or something we played at. It was one of our first gigs, I think. And then as soon as we hit like the last chord of the last song or something, I jumped in the pool with all my clothes on.
Oh yeah.
And then you took off your shoes and you jumped in.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, that was a
fun.
friend from my high school. Yeah, she lived in Chino. I don't think it was Phil, but yeah, she lived in Chino.
Oh,
You know, birthdays were always like the worst gig to play, right? But I remember she at least paid us like $20 each or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's cool. Pay our first paid gig. I think our only paid gig.
Probably. I think the rest was like maybe free pizza or oh my gosh. I don't know. Do you remember anything else like that kind of stood out from some other than like I think the only other things I really remember from us was a certain gig here and there where it was just like only like maybe 3 or 4 people, but I don't remember where.
Yeah.
But I remember still like rocking the places out.
The best show I think we ever played was our first show in Redlands at that church, and at that time hardcore was the thing. You know, punk was pretty much on its way out. Everyone was hardcore. It's when Korn was coming out. You know, all these other bands, and the Christian scene went hardcore as well. And I don't know how we got the hookup, but we ended up playing at this church out in Redlands with Altered Mission.
Yeah.
And I think we played with NIV there at one point. Yep. And maybe Plank Eye, I think we might have played
with.
No,
it was Dogwood. We got to play
Dogwood. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Still a great band, by the way. Love Dogwood. They were kind of a punk band. I did enjoy them. But I remember, I don't know if Altered Mission went before us. We lucked out. We didn't have to open.
I thought that was closed because they were kind of like the Redlands favorite. Yeah,
we were the closers.
No, they were. That's what I'm saying. I think they were the closers because they were like the home team, so to speak.
So band had played before us, and when their set was done, I remember we heard on stage, and everyone's going outside, right? Like the place just empties out. There was a lot of people, and I started thinking, oh, this sucks, you know, that we're gonna end up playing for 4 people again, you know. And so we get all our stuff ready, and it's our time to play, and we start playing, and all of a sudden, just like little by little, they start trickling. All of a sudden, it's like a mass crowd coming in, and I'm looking at the crowd, and now there's people stacked on top of people. There's this full-on pit going, and the place is packed. And I just remember going, holy moly, this is the coolest thing ever. These people are like really digging what we're playing right now and feeling it, you know, just like that whole, I'll never forget that feeling. It was such a great feeling, you know. Yeah, that's my favorite show ever. We played some other shows at like Cafe Underground that were really cool shows here and there, but that was by far my favorite show we ever played, just because
I think so too.
Those people heard our music from outside and came in and listened to us and jived with us, you know, and just really.
Yeah, and it wasn't just, cool. And it wasn't just like a, you know, kind of like a thing. It was like, well, I mean, I think at that time too, I think a lot of people were still kind of, some people like a lingering trail of still like stuff of like Youth of Today and Chain of Strength and, you know, the kind of hardcore punk scene, you know.
Yeah.
And we were kind of still. That's kind of like what our style was in a way. It was very
that's
similar
what I was into my first bands I was really into was Youth of Today, was Chain of Strength, was Instead, you know.
Uniform Choice.
Yeah, Uniform Choice, great
Gorilla
band.
Biscuits.
Yeah, Gorilla Biscuits. Yeah. By the way, I saw Gorilla Biscuits reunion when I was like, I don't know, 19, 20. Dave and I went and saw. It's still great, you know. They played all the old stuff. Yeah, they played all the old stuff. You know, it was good. On point. It was great show. Great show. Played at the Glass House in Pomona.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's a good one. Wow.
Yeah, that was good.
Start Today is probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
I would agree with you. That is a phenomenal album.
Yeah. Every song I could listen to over and over and
over.
Yeah,
every song is great on that. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
I actually, and I do have, and I think I've told you this too, is that I do have a video of that particular one you're talking about too. And it's with my parents and their place in Utah. And my dad said he's going to start going through some of the videos. So as soon as I get a copy of any of those, I will send it your way. Only one I had was the one I had with me and I posted online.
Okay, let's go.
I'm just glad you have them. I thought those were lost forever.
No, that's not probably, isn't that kind of funny thing where you kind of go, well, okay, for instance, like my friend Josh Blevins, he was the drummer for my band Solace, and he was calling, he was asking me a couple months ago, he goes, dude, do you have our, old demo? Do you have,
Yeah.
video of this? And I said, yeah, well, unfortunately, a lot of stuff I do have though, and I think even some for Unchained is on that 8mm tape. And the
Yeah.
problem is no one has that anymore unless you want to pay for like $500 to use one, because mine's broken. It always has that like line across it, the audio and everything.
I'll send you $500 right now.
But
I so want to hear that.
but I know that one's on VHS, so I think my dad does have that. But once he gets that, I will definitely be posting that up and send that to you. Yeah, but that would be fun, because I remember watching that one, that very first one, and yeah, that when that pit started going around, I remember just this. There's, again, that's why we do these kind of things, right? When you do it to have that moment, and when you have that moment, you're like, oh my god, I want more of this. I want more. I want these crowds and stuff. So it was always kind of hard when you'd get like a reaction like that and play for a big crowd, then all of a sudden you go play like for 4 people, like your girlfriend, his girlfriend.
It's terrible, I know.
It is, but that's what's fun. They just go, this is part of that journey. You're gonna play in sucky crowds, little crowds. Even little crowds can be great, but
that's true.
But it's kind of hard to hear.
Right? Oh, that was the worst. Oh my gosh. A very echoey clap.
Yes. Yes, big this big small place, and it looks big since empty. And yeah, so anyways, so all that to say, some great memories, some great gigs. Those guys from Ultra Mission were just the best.
Yeah.
They were so accommodating to us, and they were just big fans of us, and we were fans of them too. I wish I could remember their names. I can't remember their names. It's been so long. But we used to call that like our second home, because they were so fantastic. And
I think we were pretty much known as a Redlands band, even though pretty much all of us were from like the Chino area. Just every time I heard oh yeah, you guys are a Redlands band, right? Like no, none of us are from Redlands, but we just played out there so much. Even Cafe Underground was out in Redlands, if I remember right.
Is that even still around, Cafe Underground?
Oh, probably not. I doubt it. If it is, it's got an amazing manager. If it's still able to survive this long.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. So okay, so we had a couple of years we played some camp stuff. I had some video pictures I posted online too.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, the camp.
Yeah, the camp of funny pictures. You and Tom holding each other.
Oh yeah. Always playing that. We used to take that so far. Oh my gosh. Terrible.
That was always fun. I think I even have that one too. I might even have the original of that one. But so all this said, and I'll tell you from my heart, around this time, I really enjoyed what we were doing. I really liked Tom and I, to me, Tom and I were kind of like how you and Dave were.
Yes.
And very close. I mean, Tom was the one who showed me Helmet. We used to, play around and stuff during high school and stuff, of like jumping in our friends' Volkswagen Bug and listen to Helmet and other metal stuff. And so he introduced me to a lot of things, and we really kind of got involved with Christian music, Christian punk, and Christian metal. And so I felt really close to him, and we did everything together. And so when we did this band, we felt good to have that kind of same thing with you guys in a way. But at the same time, I felt like, because you and Dave had that sort of relationship, I didn't know how to feel about you, because I know you and Dave were always hanging out. So I don't know if I was a young guy who didn't know what to think of other people and other relationships necessarily. and because this was a new thing. So when it came down to where Unchained was kind of not falling apart, we were just kind of like uh, on a roll, and then we kind of like just stayed. We were just getting to the point where the inevitable was going to happen, where Tom eventually decided he was going to leave the band. And
Yeah.
because Tom was going to leave the band, well, he was going to go to, what was the Navy, or was it
Navy?
It
Yeah.
was Navy. He was going to leave for the Navy, and I didn't know how to feel about that in regards to Tom was the reason I was in this band
Yeah.
in a way, and he was now leaving, and that was kind of heartbreaking for me. And I didn't know how to feel with you guys being with me. Like I didn't know how, if you guys even liked me, really, to tell you the truth at that point, in time. Because I don't know if you're gonna be like, oh no, Tom's leaving. What do we need Scotty for? But that's what I do when I'm young and dumb, and I'm assuming everything.
That was totally not what we thought. We thought, oh man, I wish Scotty had more confidence. That was about all we had, because you were always like unsure about yourself, but you had this great voice. You did great with the crowd, and you played really good guitar.
Yeah. I think that's also what was fun about, to get a little sidetrack, was fun about you and I was that we would switch. It was fun. Like do a couple songs, like Crucified Song, Operation Ivy,
Sad Story. Remember Sad Story?
Tequila. Oh yeah, Tequila and Sad Story.
Even old members. Hey, Ted, sing on this one. Get up.
Sean, get 1, 2, 3.
That's the reason I started singing some of the songs, because I don't think I could play that guitar and sing. Or no, I couldn't play that guitar, so I sung, and then you play guitar, and then you just helped me with backup vocals, because I sucked at singing.
That was
a
good song.
I'm not tooting my horn, but I think I did a good job writing that song.
You did, and that was a fun song to play for everybody. Yeah. So we don't keep dragging on too long here, but I wanted to. So with that said, in regards to kind of closing the Unchained thing, was yes, I was insecure about hanging out with you guys. I didn't know if you even wanted me in the band anymore, so I just said I'm out too. And I definitely feel like part of me really regrets that. But at the same time, I feel like when that happened, I know you guys carried on, and then you end up actually, I think, if I remember correctly, you ended up kind of hooking up with Jeff Morgan's band, The Rejects, where it was Zach and a few other people or something like that.
No,
right?
we just pulled Zach out of that. So,
okay.
I got to talk about Zach a little bit. When I first met him, Rejects, right? And that band opened for us at one point. I can't remember. But I remember him playing on stage, and he had that very like Kurt Cobain look, right?
Yeah.
And he's playing, and his strap comes off, right? And he's playing a show, and I remember after the show going, "Hey, just so you know, when you start playing like at this level, you need to get locking straps." Oh my gosh, I felt like such an idiot later. Zach ended up being this, phenomenal guitar player that was very humble, didn't say crap to me after I said you should probably get locking straps, right? And he ends up joining Unchained later, which we turned into Sons of Dust, and just wrote some phenomenal songs out of that. I wish I had those recordings too. And while in that band, Sons of Dust, I remember thinking, man, it's too bad we don't have Scotty, because your voice, you would have gotten it, you would have nailed it, and it would have been so much easier. We went through, I don't know how many interviews on singers, and just none of them could cut it, And then Tom ended up, I think, joining us shortly before he started the other band. But it wasn't, I don't think it was driving right. He kept, that's when he was really into the ska stuff, and he was trying to put too much fills in, and
That's right.
it just wasn't driving with our sound, but that was short lived. Yeah.
So how long ago I think it didn't seem like he went there for very long, right? And then he came back.
No, he never made it past boot camp. So
oh, is that what it was?
yeah. And so he was back shortly, but he got it, like I said, he got in the ska, and then we needed a bass player really bad, so we asked him to play it, and it just, I don't know, this wasn't working out.
Yeah.
But when it was Zach, Dave, and I, with no singers, those songs are still gold. I think I wish I had them. They were such great songs. Zach had this thing where he didn't want people copying him, so he would write these notes that were just gnarly to play and really hard to play for any length of time, and he made the timing a little odd, odd meter timing, and just he just didn't want people copying the stuff, and then he'd do this, and then he could also play behind his back and do it, and between his legs, and all sorts of stuff. The guy, phenomenal guitar player, probably one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's professionally and amateur wise. But
I remember, it's funny you're saying it, because I remember I went to one of the rejects. I went with Jeff to one of the rejects practices, and I remember seeing Zach play guitar, and just like him like fiddling around. I'm going, I can't even touch you, man.
Yes.
You're just freaking ridiculous. And I got to see one show. I got to see one show of Unchained with Zach, and I can't remember his name. The lead singer of Ultra Mission did some singing on some of the Unchained songs.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And I was like, whoa, this is an interesting mix. This is cool.
Wow. I totally forgot about that. Zach did play once live with us, and you're right, Ultra Mission sang. I forgot about that. Yeah. Wow.
And I think you guys played some of the songs, and I wanted to sing along with them, but I think he changed the lyrics or something. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna stay out. But then there was one song though. There was one song that I was able to go up there and sing with them, or at least in the crowd, and sing along with them, and that was really cool. That was, I think it might have been Preach actually, but that was really cool. But it was so interesting and odd to see Zach playing Unchained songs and you guys playing, just I'm not up there. It was such a weird
that'd
thing.
be odd. Yeah.
It's like seeing an ex-girlfriend and she's with her new boyfriend, and you're like, okay, we can be cool. We can be cool.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. I forgot. I totally forgot about that show. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. See, that's cool. You remember certain things. I remember certain things.
Zach and I, even after Dave ended up, Unchained and Sons of Dust were pretty much like we were dismantled, and he joined what was it, L Death, or I can't remember what they're calling themselves back then. It was Tom's band at that time. And so, but Zach and I continued to play, just the jam together. And I remember going to his house, and he'd make me play his guitar, this $10,000 Anderson guitar, and I was just always afraid to play it. But man, that thing played so smooth. I couldn't believe it. I didn't feel worthy to play it. But what's funny about Zach too, that guy was just, and he still is a little off, but like crazy, right? Like there was several times where I thought he might possibly be insane, right? Like something is a screw loose is with him.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like he's got like a full-on family, he's a great dad, he's still Zach in some ways, but he's a loan officer, he's just doing his thing, he's a total successful guy, really cool. I still talk to him a lot, and we jammed a little bit at my place, the gallery, with another band, and he just tore it up like he always has,
He seems like that guy that you would be like, you've seen the movies where this guy will come and just grab a guitar, and then he goes, all right, key G, blah, 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 blah. And then he just pick up and play right along, just not a big deal.
I remember going to his house, and he would I would disturb him. He'd be in front of the TV watching Jimi Hendrix videos, but not because he likes Jimi Hendrix. He was studying him. As he's watching him, I see his hand moving on his guitar. He's mimicking all his moves, just crazy,
I wish I had that kind of talent.
I know, me too. Yeah. I started playing guitar when I was 9, and I still suck. That's what's sad.
But at least you're still playing, right? I think you said that
Yeah.
you kind of still jam a little bit, and then you kind of play with him a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I've picked up some other instruments too, but they, like I said, I kind of all suck. I hit a point though where, you have kids, you go through life and things change, and I ended up going into the art world, and I didn't want art to become another thing where I just was okay at, which was why I have like 15 different instruments that I'm all okay at playing. I'm probably okay at guitar and I suck at the rest, right? So I made this agreement with myself. I'm not gonna, and I didn't play, really anything. I pick up a guitar every once in a while, but I stopped playing all these instruments because I was going to focus on art at that point. It served me well.
Well, let me ask you. So yeah, we can get into that. What was it that kind of had it kind of switched for you after? Was it after kind of like? Was it kind of? Well, it was just unfortunate, I think, for both of us, where pretty much Tom and I just stopped talking altogether, and I don't know why. I never found out why. He just never contacted me, and even times where I tried to contact him and kind of just say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And he opened his own tattoo shop and all kinds of stuff, but never really responded. Never seemed very friendly back anymore, and it was just kind of weird how he just kind of changed. And then I kind of was still in pursuit of music, and I think with you and Dave, you guys kind of had sort of like a falling out as well. And was it from breaking up as a band? Was that sort of like the slow teeter?
No, mine happened in two stages. So it was when Dave left the band to play in Tom's band, El Death, I think it was at that point was the name. That's when it really hit me hard, because Dave and I had been bands together since we started playing, and Unchained, and I thought I had this mission with Unchained and with Sons of Dust to, really open the eyes of Christians, and he took away that voice I had, he took away that mission, and I got very mad at God. I'm like, what happened? I thought this was it, and it was not. I know it was never about money, right? Because who's going to start a Christian punk band and make money, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
It was truly about trying to get this message out there, and it was pulled out from underneath my feet, and that was very devastating. I had a really hard time with that for a couple of years. It wasn't even that I was jealous that you and Dave went off to become a little bit bigger than Unchained. That had nothing to do with it. It was that I couldn't express myself anymore. I had no platform to do that. Yeah. And so that killed me. And I didn't pick up guitar for a while, was just kind of done with it. And then I don't know how many years later, I was in my early 30s, I realized, holy moly, I made a mistake getting married to her, especially guys. I don't think we figure ourselves out until our 30s, so hopefully, by that time. And I realized that, my wife and I were not meant for each other, and we had a really hard time. We had a lot of issues, and, finally ended up in divorce. But, and it was at that point that, because Dave's wife was best friends with my wife at the time, and he just cut me off. And that was a kicker. That really, it was like, the divorce already kind of tore my heart out. It was not easy. I still loved my wife. I was not in love with her, and I knew we are not the same people. I could not be in the same room with her, but sweetest person in the world. She, nothing else. She's a very, very sweet person. Just, we were not meant for each other. Yeah. And to go through the divorce and have to sit down with my kids, and tell them what's happening, that I cannot, that will always be burned in my memory for the rest of my life. That really it literally felt like something just tore my heart out. And when Dave dropped me like that, it was like, not as bad, but just another, similar thing. Because Dave and I were closer to brothers, Yeah. That was really hard, and at that point I was done. I was done with music. I ended up moving out on my own in a studio apartment, and I still had my guitar, but I couldn't play guitar because I was in a studio apartment in Pasadena, and the neighbors would complain, and so I had nothing to do. And I was like, well, I'm gonna try painting. Everyone in my family on my mom's side are painters. It's the genes run really deep as far as art. And so I was like, I'll try it. And I got a cheap little easel and some paints and a couple canvases. And I always tell people my first painting actually turned out decent enough that I said, oh, I can do this. And then kept going with it. And it's still kind of a decent painting. I look at it now that the moon's terrible. I did this like night beach scene, but it's decent for my very first painting. Yeah. My next 30 sucked, like terrible, right? But it was that first one that got me going.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it. And I hit this spot that where I was like, because I have this crazy imagination. And I always feel this need to express myself and express what I'm thinking, because I'm not with the grain. I'm always against the grain usually. I'm always I'm not the typical, I don't know how to explain it, but I hit this thing where I was like, man, I was getting very frustrated with painting because I couldn't express myself. I could imagine in my head what I painted on the canvas was nothing like what was in my head. But I still loved it. So I just kept painting and painting and painting and painting. I painted every day. I've been painting every day for probably 14 years. And
really?
Yeah, probably, I want to say it wasn't until maybe 4 years ago, I painted my first painting that was exactly how I pictured it in my head.
Really?
And yeah, and now it's easy for me. Even though most of my paintings, I kind of see where they go, and that I like that too, but it took that long to go, okay, this is what I want to paint. And it came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly how I imagined it in my head,
Yeah.
And what a feeling that was. And it was almost like, oh, I wrote a song.
Yeah.
And my lyrics, people are gonna be able to hear my lyrics now and understand the song, right? It's almost the same equivalent. And then it was like, okay, now I'm in full bore. And now I'm in galleries and people buy my paintings for a lot of money. It's awesome. Yeah. Not a lot of money, but I mean, more than I would ever imagine, 5 years ago.
Dude, I didn't realize that you've been painting every single day for 14 years, you said?
Yeah, I can't stop. Well, I mean, I'm traveling for work and I bring all my easels and my paintings that I'm working on, with me, because it'd be terrible wasting my life away in a hotel room,
Well, yeah. What are you gonna do? Flip the internet?
Yeah.
Rot your brain?
I just paint. Yeah, exactly.
So that's amazing to think that that's also not just your way of creativity, but it's your outlet, your true outlet of finding something that is the equivalency of writing a full song of someone to understand. I think that was a great way of relaying that. Sorry, but because I mean, I wish. Just like you were saying, with seeing something in your head and trying to paint it was so hard when you look how long it took you. It's that kind of same way, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know if you do get it anymore, but I know I get that too, where I hear a song and I get to my guitar and I try and do it and it's just like, freaking crap, dude. No, it's not that key or it's not strummed that way. How do I do it? And then all of a sudden you're so distracted and trying to figure out, you do something else and you're like, whatever.
Yeah, that's been all my I always came up with lyrics first, and I always imagined what the melody and the guitar sound like, but it never came out that way. Never. I could never. I still can't do that. Lyrics, yeah. The sound I heard in my head though was never. I could never do that. What's been awesome though. I mean, there's been a lot of awesome things that have sprouted out of this this art thing I got into. But I've always, my way of witnessing to people and telling them how God was through music for a long time, and that was mostly geared to other Christians. But I'm one of those guys, and I don't say it's right, but I have a hard time just for a while, not as much anymore, but for a while, just going out and witnessing, or telling people my story about God, and which is sad because I have, because of my childhood, I have a great story to tell. That was always very hard to me. And then I realized I can do it through art, and I can really make people think. And now I get these kids that have no idea about Christianity. I mean, it's scary to me. I mean, in the 80s, in the 90s, even if you weren't a Christian, you knew who Jesus Christ was, you knew the stories, basic,
basic stuff.
everyone did. Yeah. not nowadays. No, nowadays, I get a lot of Satanists, come in. But they see my paintings and they ask me, and then I was like, oh, here's my door, and I start explaining to them, and they're like, well, what's this memory? And I start, I don't tell them exactly about my childhood, but enough of the jolting things that without releasing everything onto someone, because I don't think that's fair to them, but enough of the some of the horrendous things that I can tell them how I made it through that, how, my dad and my brother were Satanists, and these are things I had seen as a kid, and knowing that if that's real, if I'm seeing that with my own eyes and I'm feeling it, then the other side needs to be real. And I get in this whole conversation with the Satanists, and it's like, holy crap, this is my, God, obviously God had a plan,
Yeah.
I just didn't know it.
Yeah.
I was very angry at it for a while because I thought he took his plan away from me, and then realized, oh, he had something else in mind.
Exactly, right? Isn't it so hard to grasp? It's so hard to grasp especially when you're in that moment where you don't understand and you're pissed off, and you go,
Yeah.
how could good come from this? Or I know what can I do? You can't see beyond the horizon, right? And I'm realizing that only maybe 5 years, maybe something like that, where I've come to that same kind of point where I see things in a different light than before. And when I think something is horrible and why this isn't working, because I I can't remember if I told you, but I've lived up here in Sacramento for almost 17 years, 18 years. And I was trying so hard to get in bands when I lived in LA, when I lived up here. And I think it was before the Spacing Effect finally came together, which was about like 3 years ago. I came to the conclusion I'm just going to be the guy who played guitar once.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mindless hobby,
Yeah.
but with just this defeated thing.
Yeah.
And I was about to give up, and lo and behold, it all changed. But it all changed when it was a friend of Billy, my brother, Billy's friend, and she heard one of my songs and said to keep, go for it, do it, just don't give up. So, and look at that. And now I'm where I'm at now, and I'm doing this and talking with you, and I never thought I'd be talking to you again.
Isn't that crazy?
And meeting all these bands and some of my heroes, and it's just an amazing thing to reach out to people, and it's so amazing. And even people I don't even agree with on social issues or even religious, but we can come together and talk about music and that be the unifying thing,
Yeah, exactly.
And always finding about people's journeys too. People have had good childhoods, bad childhoods, but somehow always leading to music. And again, hearing that when this person said that this person left the band or this person left them, and thinking all was lost and that kind of stuff, and then it led to something else. And it's just so cool how that all ties in together, but we don't see it when we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, because heartbreak is quite a huge cover. It's a blindfold pain.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's really hard to see that if you just lift it up and not just let it sit there and wallow in it or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm being very long-winded and preachy here, but I think that's a beautiful thing, that something that was dark and seemed kind of like you were robbed, and it led you to something that was more fruitful in the end.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
And then there's the other plus side now that I run my own gallery now. That's my art studio during the month, but once a month I open for our walk. But now I have record releases at my place with bands that are amazing. That want to play at my place. Bands that were way better than I ever was. And so I get that feeling of the scene. The old, the scene. How that feeling of being around music and stuff like that. So I get that. I get people wanting to come to my place, wanting to play. I get to talk to the young people, because the young people are so jaded about everything. Not that I hide my politics at my gallery only because of how today is. But what I try to explain to these young kids is look at when you're talking to someone and they might not be the same political view or whatever, what you need to understand is the person across from you that you're talking to wants the same thing you do. Their heart is in the same place yours is. And if you think your heart's in the real same place, they think their heart's in the same place. Then you can start the conversation as, this is a decent person. This is a person that cares just as much as I do. We just have different ideas of how to get to the same goal, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. But we've, and you know how it was when we were kids. It's totally different now. That people just shut you out, and we do this canceling thing, and people get so irate so quickly. And it's like, wow, this is crazy to me. You know, there's no dialogue anymore. We can't have a decent conversation. So I get that aspect. So I'm able to share a little of my wisdom now that I've been on the planet for, you know, a short time now, longer than these kids. I can share my wisdom. I can be a mentor in some ways. I can be part of the music scene still, you know, and I can preach about God by them asking. I don't even have to go up and go, let me tell you about God.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But in today's society, that's a little hard, you know.
Yeah.
But when they look at this big painting I painted, and they're like, I don't understand what's happening here or this, and then I explain, they're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And then I tell them about like I did a painting of, you know, not that all my paintings are religious, obviously, but when God will put on me to paint something, you know, obviously it's not me, but I've always been perturbed by the image of the crucifixion, right? Mm-hmm. Christ usually looks like a model, you know, he's very good looking. He's got a few bruises, he's got a couple of drips of blood, he's got this little cut on the side. That's it. And it's like, no. This was brutal.
Yeah.
And so I painted a painting of the crucifixion. It's only a section of it. It's half his face, half the cross with his arm up, and his skin's torn, his face is jacked up, and the eyes staring right at you, which had to be God, because that technique is extremely hard. I don't think I could duplicate it. No. But you know, the eye follows you as you walk by it. And people ask, why does he look like? I go, I painted that, but he looked much worse than that. Said he didn't look human. I get to go on this details, you know, and these are historical accounts, not just from the Bible. You know, all my references, I called Mike Shipman, you know, he helped me out with all the references on it, you know, but you know, he was whipped so bad that his lungs were exposed from the back. Most people die just from the whipping, you know, but so I get to tell a story of that, you know, and then, you know, I can even go into, you know, the fact that he rose 3 days later, and that there's no way his body was robbed, because there was 2 Roman guards outside that tomb. And in those days, if you're a Roman guard caught asleep, they would light you on fire while you're asleep. So 2 guards, there's no way both of them are falling asleep. So, you know,
well, not just that, but the tomb. I mean, the rock.
Yeah, the tomb itself, right?
Yeah,
big rock got rolled away. So I get to explain all this because they asked me. I didn't even have to, you know. This is crazy, you know. Yeah. God put me in a really good position.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what's cool too about it, is that as much as music influences us, you could also be influencing people, not just from to tell them the story and give them wisdom of, you know, your general through your journey, but you can also be inspiring other people too from your art, just in general, like just your creativeness of what you've drawn inspired someone to go home and start to grab a couple of, you know, or even if it's, whether it be painting or whether it be drawing or whether it be watercolors, whatever, you could be influencing someone to do that as well. So maybe there's some other kid too who's maybe a Christian or someone who's struggling or whatnot, and he saw one of your paintings and you explained to him about it, and he was like, you know, I'm gonna see if I can express this too, of how I'm feeling about God. Or maybe that be his or her like music is his painting. So I think that's another cool thing. I mean, you don't know. That's what's the beauty of, maybe you'll never know. Maybe you'll never hear it. Right. But there's going to be that kid or that person, whoever it is, older or younger, that goes, yeah, I remember being down the Artist in the Alley website, and I went into one of the walks or whatever, and I saw this band play, and I saw this picture, and I talked to this guy named Nate, and you know, and just there you go. That's something that's going to stick with them. I think I don't know, that's the stuff I think about when I hear bands for the first time, or your art, art in general, people seeing something and being inspired to draw or whatever. But I think that's another
I,
thing you should take to heart is that you could be inspiring someone to do that as well.
I think one of the best things too for me is I'm trying to recall. I think of the few of my religious paintings that have sold, none of them have been to Christians, which
Oh,
is good.
really?
That's how I want it.
That's
This is
cool.
good. So,
Yeah.
yeah, when I find out, oh, they're not Christian, I'm like, okay, yeah, sweet. I'll give you a discount. It just this is good. I like this. So
That's cool. That's very
yeah,
cool, man.
that's a great feeling. Yeah.
So you have this artist in the alley on
Yep.
Instagram, right? So it's actually
Yeah.
artist dot in the dot alley.
So Artist in the Alley started from an art studio. Basically, I ran this art studio out in the arts colony in Pomona, and it was just for my daughter and I to paint. And then I realized, and I'd been going to art walk for years and years, that art walk didn't have a lot of art in it. It was more knickknack stuff. And so I told my daughter, I go, let's start, let's bring art back to the art walk. And so we opened as a gallery a couple months after we moved in, just for art walk. So every second Saturday, 5 to 10, we open as a gallery. I take 30 local artists. They get to show 3 pieces each. So I get like 90 works of art. They all show for free. Their Venmo or Cash App's right on their title card. So all the money goes towards the artist.
That's cool.
I usually have 5 or 6 bands playing. It used to be I struggled to get artists, like I get maybe 10, and they weren't that great, and then we'd have to call around for bands, and now it's like I fill up in 10 minutes for artists and I turn away at least 10 bands every art walk. Yeah. So I've been put in a good position. It took a long time to get to that, but now we're the busiest art gallery during art walk. We've created this weird, cool vibe in the alley that no one would have thought of in a million years. Even my neighbors were like, good luck. And now they're like, holy crap, this is crazy. And it's been great. It's taken on life of its own, and it's not me. I think it's a combination of God. It's a combination of people wanting to hang their art in my place. It's so weird. You want to hang your art in my place. This is an odd thing, and they do it, and they bless my place with the art. I do get some controversial stuff. I do have certain rules. No, nothing political. I don't want to be a political gallery.
Yeah.
There's enough of those around, and then obviously no pornography. It's just been a great thing. It's a magical night for us, and it's my favorite time of the month. It's just just a huge crowd and music's playing and there's art everywhere and people are just having a good time.
This is so cool to see. So
Thank you.
do you want to what you got plugs and what you're doing, any kind of future plans, or what do you got going?
No. So I've scaled back on all the extra events. I'm just doing art walk now. Once in a blue moon, I'll do record releases. We actually just did a fashion show that my daughter put on. It was,
Nice.
Haley called up and said, Dad, can I use the studio? And obviously I'm going to say yes, right? So I said yes, and she did a great job. She had a great night, and I was very proud of her. But for the most part, we're just doing art walk. My art career is getting busier, so I have to concentrate more on my art. But every second Saturday, like I said, of the month, we open as an art gallery 5 to 10 p.m. at the Pomona Art Walk in LA County. And yeah, that's it. I got a few pieces hanging up, at the Square Eye Gallery, in Claremont, and hopefully a few other places. But yeah, check me out on also on art.by.McMullen, and you can see some of my pieces that might still be for sale on there.
Good.
I'm terrible at promoting myself, so I don't update that as much. I don't even have my own website. Art cards, I'm terrible.
You're terrible.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into, like I said, I have to paint, so I paint a lot, and then I was like, oh yeah, I got to promote the art walk, and so I forget myself somewhere in there, but I'm trying to get better at that. But yeah, art.by dot McMullen, McMullen, and you can see some of my latest pieces on there. I think, like I don't think everything's sold on there. So, and I'm always creating new pieces. I usually create 5 or 6 at a time. So
that's
and
cool, dude.
they're oil and it's fun. And I do surreal landscape. I do some very surreal paintings. You've seen the one with the guy pulling the bad memories out of his head. I do stuff like that every once in a while. That pops in my head. But yeah.
Well, cool.
That's it. Yeah. And then if you're in Pomona on the second Saturday, come by for our walk here and have a good time. I promise.
So I was going to say 2 things. If I will absolutely try to plan the next time I'm down in Southern California. If I get the chance, I want to go to one of those. I would love to see it in person again and see you in your environment.
Yeah. I would love that. Yeah.
That'd be cool. And then I got one more question in regards to, if you're okay with saying it, you don't have to say if you don't want to. But what was the most money you got for one of your paintings?
The most money, like $1,200, and it was
really?
Yeah, it was a painting. It was one of those paintings that I'm going to tell you about the painting. It was one of those paintings I just thought in my head, right? But it's also one of those paintings I thought would never sell because it was a hard painting to look at, right? It was kind of like my old songs. They were hard to listen to, and basically what it was, I don't know how I thought of it, but it's this lady, and it was supposed to be a man, but I made it a lady because it's more disturbing. But this lady, she's in the middle of the ocean. Obviously, she was a victim of a shipwreck, and she's laying on like a door, and she's completely emaciated. I was going to have her more nude to show the bones, but I ended up covering her upper torso, but very like on the verge of death. And there's these blue whales under her. And in the distance, you can see blue whales blowing their spouts, and there's a ship going by, and it's called Looked After. So these blue whales are trying to get the attention of the boat to help save the lady. And someone bought it, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, holy moly, I can't believe you just bought my painting. So,
and for that amount, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where what I price my paintings for is a really fair price for what you get. I do put a lot of effort and a lot of you're getting an idea out of my head, and they're very well done now. What's nice about painting for so long, you get these steps, and I keep these paintings, right? Oh, I made another step in painting, so I'll keep that painting. And I've gotten to that point now where I'm looking at other people's art in galleries and going, oh yeah, I'm on this level now, and I have my own look. I'm not like anyone else. It was kind of like music. I never liked doing really covers except for like maybe Op Ivy, because I wanted to create my own music.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be influenced by anything else. Yeah. And my paintings show that, there's nothing, I've never seen a style like mine. And it's pretty good. I'm not gonna be too shy to say that, but
that's punk rock, man.
Yeah.
Man, thank you for taking the time to talk with me, as always.
Oh, yeah, of course. Great talking to you.
I really hope we keep this going, man. Seriously, I really enjoy it. So,
yeah.
But
yeah, if you ever do another podcast on like old punk shows, feel free to chime in with me, because I have some great stories about being in some awesome pits with some legendary bands back in the day.
I will.
Well, I say legendary. A lot of people have never heard of them, but
yeah, probably. All right, man. Well, yeah, thank you again, and I will talk to you later. You have a good night. All right.
Awesome, Scotty. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Because everybody liked it. No, I know you liked it. Come on. I'm here. They sing it, but I see it. We'd like to thank all Mission and all the people from Redlands for making Redlands our home. And no, seriously, they helped get us started. And, yeah, you guys really got started, and thank you for really supporting us.
Yeah, man, lost a bit at the top.
And, yeah, you guys don't remember. Thanks for letting us give you your equipment. So last song, you're not in the crowd. You're gonna see you probably ever jump the fence.
Phil the Olympic.